Hi everyone, this is Rebecca, and welcome to this yoga sequence to increase your joy. This series was designed with familiar poses to bring some movement into your joints and to bring your attention to the simple joys in your life. So go get ready, and I'll see you on the mat.
So we're going to start on our backs today. So you can just bring yourself down to a Shavasana if you like, or if you prefer to start in seated today, that's fine too. So just find where you're comfortable. And just allow yourself to settle in here. Maybe close your eyes or gaze toward the tip of your nose. And begin to slow your breath. And just notice your breath here. Really bring your attention to the fact that every time you breathe in, you're breathing in life force. And realize the simple joy of just breathing. Sometimes this is something that escapes our notice. If you've ever had an experience where you couldn't breathe, you know what a joy it is just to breathe. So just let that really sink in. Nothing special to do here. You don't have to control the breath. Just really sense it. Now we'll begin to bring a little regularity to the breath, perhaps making our inhale and exhale the same length, like inhaling to a count of 3 and exhaling to a count of 3. Inhaling to a count of 3 and exhaling to a count of 3. And continue that on your own. And then as we're inhaling, we'll bring one knee into the chest, pressing out through the opposite heel. And then we'll switch legs here by inhaling and then exhaling to extend the leg, bringing the other knee into the chest. And switching legs on the exhale. And now beginning to move with the breath, inhaling the knee into the chest, exhaling the other leg out. Inhale to switch, exhale to extend. And just continue this as you breathe. And one more cycle through each leg here. And then we'll inhale both knees into the chest. You can grasp your shins here, really rolling that tailbone up slightly so that the lower back comes in contact with the mat. Just roll out through the lower back here. Feel the belly engage. Take a nice deep breath, and as you're exhaling, allow the soles of the feet to find the floor. And we're going to bring the heels as close to the tail here as you can. You might even be able to brush your heels with your hands. And we'll take our palms next to our hips on the mat. Toes and knees are pointing directly forward. And then as we're inhaling, we'll shift the hips up toward the ceiling and exhale, rolling the vertebrae down. Inhale, sending the hips up. Exhale, rolling the vertebrae down. So still just breathing here, just syncing this movement up with the breath. Feeling the joy of just moving our bodies through space. While it's a simple movement, just being grateful that this is a movement we're able to make today. This is something that is available to us. Keeping the chin pointed up at the ceiling to make plenty of room for the breath. Still inhaling the hips up, exhaling hips down. And one last time through this breath here, inhaling the hips up and exhaling, bringing the hips down. And we'll allow the heels to stay really close to the body here. We're going to roll the tailbone under, pressing the lower back into the mat, and bring the hands back behind to cradle the head. And you might actually take just a second here to give yourself a little neck massage, maybe finding a couple of tight spots behind the neck there, tension that you're holding, or maybe just massaging out some of that craned neck that we get from sitting in front of screens all day. And then let that release. And we'll take these hands right behind the head, rolling that lower back into the mat, pulling the belly button up and in. We'll take a big deep breath here. And then as we're exhaling, lifting the shoulders and chest from the mat. Inhale to release. Back down to the mat. Exhale to lift. Mindful breathing here, keeping that low back engaged with the mat. Inhale to release. Exhale to lift. Inhale to release. Exhale to lift. Inhale, release. And allow these to be different from any other kind of sit up that you ever do. Being very mindful and slow here, noticing and reveling in every small motion that your body has to make to carry you up through space in this way. 3 more breaths. Inhale to release. Exhale to lift. One last one. Inhaling, release. And exhale, lift. Inhaling, releasing all the way back down to the mat. We're going to walk our feet out to the wide edges of the mat here. And you can take your hands down next to your hips or out wide, whatever feels best for you here. And with the feet out towards the sides of the mat, we'll just inhale. And as we exhale, just allow the knees to fall over to the side. Ooh, I got a big pop in my hip there. Inhaling the knees back up straight and exhaling, shifting to the other side. And if you like to look over one shoulder, you can do that. Just moving slowly side to side. Feeling that little massage that you get in the back of your skull if you're rolling your head from side to side. Welcoming that in. That is a part of the body that rarely gets much attention. So focusing on that sensation in the back of the skull for just a moment. And now we're going to allow the knees just to fall over to the front side of the mat. And we'll turn the body in that direction, pressing ourselves up to seated and coming into our cat-cow. So find your way into your nice stable tabletop, stacking all our joints. And then we'll just continue this movement with the breath, inhaling to drop the belly, exhaling, rounding up through that spine. Inhaling, drop the belly. Exhale, press away. And continuing this for 3 or 4 more of your own breaths. Making that breath you can hear in the back of your throat. Really breathing all the way down into the bottom of the lungs. And then as you come into your cat, pressing all the air out. And then allow that to come to stillness. We'll come into our tabletop. And so we're going to continue our flow this morning, taking this into our spinal balance. So really pressing into the mat here, lifting that front body to the back body. We'll inhale, and as we're exhaling, let's begin by pressing out through the right heel, just stretching that calf. And then we'll allow that right knee to find the mat. And then inhaling again, we'll exhale, pressing out through the left heel, bringing that stretch into the left calf. Returning the left knee to the mat. We'll inhale here, and this time as we're exhaling, we'll press out through the right heel. Allow that leg to lift from the floor. Right hip drops down in alignment with the left, and reaching out through the left arm if that's part of your practice. Inhale and exhale here, allowing the arm and leg to find the floor. Inhaling and then exhaling through the left heel. Left hip drops down, maybe shining that inner thigh up towards the ceiling, allowing the little toe to rotate down towards the mat. And then extending long through the right arm, if you like. And then we'll allow the arm and leg to release to the mat. And then begin to move through this with the breath. So exhaling as we extend the right leg and left arm. Inhale to return to the mat. Exhale, extending the other side. Inhaling the arm and leg down. Exhale to switch. Maybe finding a place of focus on your mat here. Keeping the gaze just a little in front of the hands. And coming back through this movement twice more with your own breath. And then when you're ready, allowing the knees to come out wide, shifting the hips back as you exhale into child's pose. Taking nice deep breaths, maybe sighing it out. Thinking of simple joys this morning. It's just feeling the simple joy of relaxation. Of being able to release everything here for just a moment. And maybe you find some gentle movements like a cat slinking into its own relaxation, its own release. And then pressing into both palms here. We'll pull the belly button into the spine as we inhale up. Bringing the knees back in closer. And then adjusting the hands, rolling the toes under, shifting the hips up, downward facing dog. First down dog today, keeping those knees nice and bent, focusing on the alignment of the spine here, feeling that alignment from the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. And if you like to pedal out the feet here, you can do that now. Just moving nice and slow. If you like to turn a little from side to side, you're welcome to bring that motion in. And then we'll bring that to stillness, shifting the gaze forward toward the hands, and then walking up towards the top of the mat, coming into our forward fold. Again, knees may be quite bent here. As long as you're feeling that sensation in the back of the hamstring, that's all that matters here. Looking for sensation, but not for pain. And then when you're ready, we'll bring one hand above each bent knee and inhale up to stand with a flat back. Bringing the hands to heart center, rolling the shoulders onto the back. And then let's step toward the long side of our mat this morning. So we'll come to a wide leg stance on the mat. And you can take your feet and angle them out at a 45-degree angle towards the corners of the mat here. And we'll just begin by inhaling deeply and exhaling, hands coming through the face. And you can bend into the knees slightly here. Inhale, And exhale. Inhale, coming through these moonflowers, and exhale. Really sweeping the arms up, taking up as much space as you can here, taking up all the space that you're entitled to here on your mat. And then bringing the hands to heart center. We'll inhale the arms up overhead. And this time, as we're exhaling, we'll sweep the arms outward, bending deeply into the legs, and come into these called sunflowers, gathering flowers from the ground, really reaching up out of the side body, bending into the legs. Exhaling as you deepen. And really imagine here gathering up all those flowers, a whole armload of sunflowers, and what that would be like. Feeling the abundance of all that life has to offer to you. Feeling the love that our bodies have for the earth and that the earth has for our bodies. And then inhale the arms up overhead, really reaching out through both hands. Exhale, hands come to heart center. We'll heel toe, our feet back to the center of the mat. And then inhaling here, rolling the shoulders onto the back. We'll exhale, sitting the hips back. You can choose where to keep your hands here. You can keep them at heart center. You can reach them out front. You can reach them overhead. Inhale here and exhale as we come to stand. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead, sitting the hips back. Exhale to stand. Repeating this 3 more times with your own breath. Inhale to sit back. Exhale, stand. And then return to standing with your hands at heart center. We'll take a little standing pigeon this morning. So grounding into both feet here, bringing that little springiness into your knees. We're going to take the weight into the right foot. That's the left foot. Let's take the weight into the left foot. Take the weight into the left foot, bending gently into that knee. We'll take the right foot over the top of the left knee. And if you need to find a wall or something to balance on this morning, that's fine. Sending the hips back here, sitting back like a one-legged chair. Bringing that belly button into the spine, feeling the sensation along the outside of the hip. And then inhaling back up to stand, shaking the legs out just a little. We'll really take the weight into the right foot now. Bending slightly into the knee. Taking the left ankle over the top of the right knee. Sitting the hips back. Finding your balance, finding a focal point. And notice here If you're experiencing any craving, any desire for this experience to be something different than what it is, and just let that go. Inhale up to stand. We'll shake the legs out. And let's step out wide. So taking that wide stance again, your ankles kind of under where your wrists are. And let's turn the left foot out. Inhaling the arms up halfway. We'll turn the right foot also towards the top of the mat slightly. And as we're exhaling, deepening into that left leg, coming into warrior two, aligning the left knee over the left ankle, softening the gaze over the front hand. And then we'll drop the back hand as we inhale up through the front arm. Exhaling here to deepen slightly, peeling those left fingertips back. And breathe. Inhaling back to warrior two. Exhaling as we bring the elbow to the knee and allow that upper arm to sweep up over the ear, reaching out through the fingertips, allowing that energy to travel all the way down to the outside of the right foot. And inhaling back to warrior two. And then inhaling up to stand, straightening the knee, maybe shaking the water off the legs a little. And then we'll turn that right foot towards the back of the mat, allowing that left foot to come to an angle also. Inhaling the arms up halfway and exhaling into warrior two on the side. Finding those shoulders wrapping around to the back. Letting go of any expectations in this pose. You don't have to look like anyone else, be like anyone else. Just releasing into this moment, dropping that back hand, inhaling the arm up, exhaling, pulling those fingertips back. And even in the effort of this pose, just finding our joy that we're here this morning, able to do what we're doing, able to show up for ourselves. Inhale back, warrior two. And then drop the elbow, sweeping that left arm up overhead, reaching out through the fingertips. Feeling that energy slide all the way down the left side body. And then inhaling back to warrior two. And exhale, allowing the arms to fall, the knees to come back to the front. And we'll heel toe, our way back to the center of the mat. And then let's step up to the top of our mats. And here we'll inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale as we release into our forward fold. Planting both hands, we'll step back, coming into downward dog. Deep breaths here. And then we'll drop our knees, coming into tabletop. And align those joints here. And we'll take a little side stretch here. I'm just going to turn the head over the right shoulder as we shift the hips towards the right also. And feel that side stretch in the left side body. Inhale back to center. And exhaling, we'll shift the hips to the left, taking the gaze over the left shoulder. And then inhaling back to center. I'm going to take the hands, a couple of handprints out in front. Walk the knees back slightly and allow ourselves to drop into puppy pose. So the hips stay aligned over the knees here, and we're allowing the chest to sink down towards the mat. The forehead can rest on the floor, or if you like, you can bring the chin to the floor, heart to earth pose, or puppy pose. Engaging actively through the arms, rolling the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And then to release from this pose, pressing into the palms. And we're going to shift our hips forward, allowing them to come to rest on the mat and bringing our elbows underneath our shoulders, coming into Sphinx pose. So nice wide fingers here, really reach out with the fingers and then dragging back slightly on the palms. Feel the heart come through the shoulders here. So imagine like a giant lamp in the middle of your chest, shining forward. This is a bit of a back bend. So as always, if there's any tension or pain in the lower back, you might choose to take a child's pose instead, or just come to a crocodile, laying on your belly with your hands supporting your head. And we'll all meet there now, dropping down into crocodile. And then releasing the hands from underneath the head, we'll bring the forehead to the floor, extending the arms out long next to the hips. And then from here, on our next inhale, we're going to lift the feet from the floor. So letting all the air out of the lungs first, and then inhale, lifting the feet from the floor. Using the gluteal muscles, your feet can be separated or together. And then allow that to release back down to the mat. We'll do this one more time. If you like, you can lift the lower body only, or if you like, you can add the upper body. So on our next inhale, we'll lift both the feet and the shoulders. So letting all the air out of the lungs. And then inhaling, sending the fingertips back, keeping the gaze down towards the floor, being gentle with the neck here. And then release, bringing that back down to the floor. We'll take the hands out wide now. And we're going to turn the head to one side. Turning the head, I'm turning mine towards the right. And then keeping this left arm long along the floor, we're bringing our right hand in front of the chest and just gently rolling the body towards this extended arm. You can bend the knees or keep them straight. Just bringing a stretch into the front of the shoulder. And you can keep the legs stacked, or if you're looking for a little bit more sensation here, you can bring the right sole of the foot to the floor behind the left leg. Being aware if you have any injuries or limitations that might make you choose to be cautious here. And now we'll release the leg, rolling over onto the belly, extending the right arm, turning the head in the other direction, and then using that left hand to gently turn us towards the right arm. Bringing that left sole of the foot to the floor only if it feels good for you. And then rolling back onto the belly. We'll bring that right arm in and press ourselves back up to tabletop. And then just take a couple of cat-cows here just to release from that. And then we'll all come back to neutral in tabletop. And we'll take our second puppy pose here. So reaching the hands out long in front, walking the knees back if you need to, and then allowing the chest to sink down towards the floor. The forehead or the chin comes to rest, aligning the hips over the knees, and just releasing into this pose. And then once again, pressing into the palms of the hands here. We're shifting the hips forward and then bringing the hips to rest on the floor, allowing the elbows to line up underneath the shoulders, reaching those hands out long and then pulling back against the palms, Sphinx pose. And then allowing yourself to come down to the floor, taking the hands underneath the forehead for a moment. Deep breath, letting it all out. And then bringing the forehead to the floor, extending the hands out long next to the hips. And your choice here, whether you engage lower body only or lower body and upper body. But we'll empty out our lungs. And then on our next inhale, come into your expression of locust here. If you're lifting that upper body from the floor, make sure you have a nice focus on the floor just underneath you, keeping that neck in alignment. And then allow that to release. One more time here, this time, if you'd like to interlace the fingers behind the small of the back. We'll exhale, letting all the air out. And then inhale, lifting the hands, shooting those fingers back and away, opening the chest. And then allow that to release. Taking the hands back next to the chest, we'll press ourselves up and come back into a child's pose. neutralizing that little back bend, stretching out through the back. And then inhaling back up to tabletop, lining the joints here, really pressing into the mat. And you have a choice here. You can roll the toes under or keep the tops of the feet flat on the floor. But we're really going to lift that front body to the back body. We're going to pull that belly button up so much that eventually the knees come up from the floor. Really feeling that engagement in the abs here. Might feel a little tremble, a little heat. And then allow that to release, letting the belly drop down into cow. And then rounding up into cat. Again, just feeling the joy in this movement. Taking note of the simple things. And now coming back to tabletop. We'll come through this hovering table one more time. So pulling that belly button into the spine and then lifting the knees from the floor, pressing into the toes or the tops of the feet. One more breath. And allow the knees to release back down towards the floor. And we'll shift the feet out to one side, coming to our comfortable seat on the mat. And then just taking a couple of deep breaths here. Inhaling the arms up, exhaling the hands down through the face. A couple of sun breaths. And just bringing our awareness to the feeling of aliveness in our bodies. Like we can gather up all the light and bring it into ourselves as we inhale today. And this time, just allow the hands to come to heart center. I'm going to take the feet here and allow them to be parallel to each other. So no bones stacking on top of each other, just the legs parallel. And you might want to reach back and pull the flesh out from under your sits bones there. And rolling the shoulders onto the back here, we're just going to allow the chest to sink forward and bring your fingertips to the floor. And just wiggle down here just until you can feel that sensation in the outside of the front leg. Feeling a little bit of an outer hip stretch here. And then walk your fingertips back towards the body. We'll switch the legs so that the other leg is in front. Bring the shoulders onto the back. And then allow ourselves to come forward once again. Walking the hands back towards the body. And now you can find whatever positioning for your legs is most comfortable here. We'll allow the fingertips to come back out to the sides of the mat. I'm going to inhale the arms up overhead. And this time we're going to take a steepled grip above the head. Nice deep breath. And as we're exhaling, just gently reach those fingers towards the seam of the ceiling and the wall, pressing down through the opposite hip. So feeling a side stretch here. Inhale the fingertips back up overhead. And exhale, sending our fingers towards the other side of the room. Inhaling back up overhead. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. And we're going to allow the legs to reach out long now, coming into our straddle splits pose. And then from here, you might take the fingers along behind the hips, opening the chest, bringing the toes back towards the face. And if you feel a nice sensation in the inner thigh here, you can stay right there. If you like to change this, you can bring the hands back around in front and then allow yourself to release forward slightly, keeping the shoulders wrapped around onto the back and the neck soft. Inhaling to release. We'll take one hand under each bent knee here, drawing the legs back together, and then shifting around onto the back, bringing the knees into the chest. And this time, keeping the knees tightly into the chest, we'll lower the arms out to the sides. And we'll take an inhale here, and as we're exhaling, allow those legs to fall over to one side, taking the gaze over the other shoulder. Just taking a moment here to notice the beauty of the way our bodies work. We're born with this spine that doesn't really stretch very much. But through this rotation, we're able to bring some space in between those vertebrae. Body is a beautiful, miraculous machine. Inhaling the knees back to the chest. We'll exhale, allowing those knees to fall in the other direction, taking your gaze over the opposite shoulder. Just continuing to notice beauty here. Perhaps find something in your environment, some color or some shape. Or if your eyes are closed, maybe it's an image or something internal that you can just bring your attention to as being beautiful. Allow that joy to sink in. And now bringing the knees back to the chest. We'll allow the knees to part, reaching through, coming into our happy baby. Finding a little motion if you like. And then bringing that to stillness. We'll allow our feet to find each other and then gently extend out long, ending as we began in our Sukhasana. Feeling the benefits of our practice. Reflecting on the simple joys of breath, of movement, of the beauty around us, the abundance of the earth. Giving our attention to the fact that we're surrounded by miracles every day. And allowing ourselves to relax back into joy. Take a deep breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe stretch your arms out overhead, stretching your body out long. And then rolling yourself to one side. Remaining there on your side for a moment. And then pressing yourself back up to a seated position. Keeping your eyes closed or your gaze lowered. And the poem I have to close with today is Joy for No Reason by Danna Faulds. I am filled with quiet joy for no reason save the fact that I am alive. The message I receive is clear. There's no time to lose from loving, no place but here to offer kindness, no day but this to be my true, unfettered self and pass the flame from heart to heart. This is the only moment that exists. So simple, so exquisite, and so real. Thank you so much for joining your practice with mine today, and may you find joy in all that you do. May your yoga follow you off the mat.